Well, today I want to talk about the Garden of Eden and the creation story in Adam and Eve. The story's just been on my mind lately, so I thought I'd just share my thoughts about it. So, just to refresh your memory, real basic stuff. God creates the world in 6 days. He creates man from the earth. He creates Eve from Adam's rib. And God tells him, well, you can do anything you want, but you can't eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So Eve is tempted by a snake that tells her there's no reason not to eat from the tree. Go ahead and do it. So she does. She eats it. She gives it to her husband. God finds out. They get kicked out of the Garden of Eden. And God curses Eve with pains of childbirth, losing her children in labor and dying in labor, and that she has to be man's helper, his servant. She has to do whatever he says. And onto man, he gives him the punishment that he has to toil the fields from whence he came. So that's the real basic story. And the first thing I see with this story is that God is supposed to be all-knowing. He's supposed to be omnipresent. He's supposed to be everywhere. And yet, first of all, he places this huge temptation of this tree in the Garden of Eden and tells them not to do it. And then he's like surprised that they did it. Like, shouldn't he have known that they were going to do this? You think he would have taken different measures or something. So that doesn't make sense. No. Okay, and the really big thing I've always seen a problem with is that, okay, before Eve takes this fruit, she doesn't know what is wrong and what is right, because the tree is called the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and it's knowledge, basically. And she's given this fruit, okay, and then she realizes she becomes knowledgeable of what is good and right, and she feels that she's done something wrong, and she also realizes, along with Adam, that they're naked, and they cover up their nakedness before God gets there, and they're ashamed of it. So, I made up a little analogy to compare this to, and that's, let's say you have a dog, okay? A dog is, of course, not nearly as intelligent as us. It's kind of stupid, just like Adam and Eve were before they ate of the fruit. And so you get a piece of meat for your dog, you put poison in it, you lay it down, and you say, no, don't eat this. And your dog will most likely obey you if you're standing there, because just like Adam and Eve, all they knew was what to obey. They knew that they needed to obey God, just like your dog knows that he needs to obey you because you are his master. But it can't reason, just like Adam and Eve doesn't have reason, it doesn't have knowledge, it doesn't have logic. Therefore, we're going to be like, well, why shouldn't I eat this meat? It looks delicious. So, as soon as your back is turned, of course it's going to eat the meat. So, that's just how Adam and Eve were. Like, Eve didn't know the difference between good and evil. So how would she have known that she shouldn't have done this? Just because God told her to do this? Like, that's not good enough, I think. And, we see this whole common thread throughout Christianity, throughout the Bible, and throughout the whole history of the religion, is that knowledge is bad. That learning, you should just read your Bible and do as God says and do what your preacher says. You shouldn't try and learn more about the world. And, you should just follow exactly what they say. And, that's a problem, because people, nowadays, they don't want to learn about science. They don't want to learn about different, they don't want to make new discoveries. They don't want to learn about evolution. They don't want to learn, it's ridiculous. So anyways, I thought that was interesting that it kind of went all the way back to this. So, and another thing is that the whole story of Adam and Eve has been used as an excuse for thousands of years to suppress women. Because first of all, Eve was created from Adam's rib, and therefore they thought that, well, she's inferior to him. She was created from him, and it even says in the Bible she was created for his purpose. It's like Adam was lonely, and God thought he needed a helper, a servant, basically. And interesting little fact, for a very long time, people thought men had one less rib than women. And when they found out that they had the same number of ribs in the 1500s, there was a lot of controversy about it because people didn't want to believe that. Interesting. So anyways, that was used for suppression of women for a long time. And also, Eve carries with her the original sin that she tempted Adam, and that, it was her fault that they got thrown out of paradise. So, women were just pretty much hated on for a very long time because of Eve. And also, that the whole story, I think, is silly because all of us apparently have to suffer because of two people's sin, that they've messed up, so we all have to suffer. And that's pretty bullshit, in my opinion. And also, I was, rereading the Genesis story, and I found out a little interesting thing was that actually Adam and Eve didn't have sex until after they were kicked out of paradise. And, because she didn't conceive until after they were thrown out, and she gave birth to Cain and Abel and all that good stuff. So I just thought that was interesting because, that's also another thing that we get the roots from, that Christianity gets the roots from, is, suppression of sexuality and women from this very first story in the Bible. And of course we see a lot of the same threads throughout the Bible, but this is one of the worst. So anyways, hopefully I made some good points. I shed some light on a little bit of this. And alright, bye.